Thank you for joining. Welcome to today's free webinar, the top 4 things to look for in a breakout stock. My name is Rob Lipson. I'm the VP of Business Development and Sales here at Lightspeed. We're happy to have Sean Dekmar present for us. Sean runs his own educational courses and trading chat room, Tradecast and Dekmar Trades, so we're happy to have him here. We always like to have new insight and market commentary, new people analyzing some, trading strategies, and certainly try to provide some education for our group. So we're very happy to have him here. I'm going just to do our quick compliance disclosure, and then we'll get started. So just bear with me here. Please note this presentation is for informational purposes only. Nothing presented today should be construed as an investment advice or recommendation to buy, sell, hold any security or contract. Since we don't know everyone's investment objectives or risk tolerance, we're not endorsing any specific trading strategies. Security derivative futures trading involves substantial risk of loss, is not suitable to all investors. Each investor must consider whether this is suitable investment, since you may lose all or more than your initial investment. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Lightspeed Financial Services Group LLC is not affiliated with any of these third-party market commentators, educators, or service providers. Data, information, material, this content should be provided for informational, educational purposes only. Content neither is nor should be construed as an offer, solicitation, or recommendation to buy, sell any securities or contracts. Any investment decisions made by the users through the use of such content is solely based on the user's independent analysis, taking into consideration your financial circumstances, investment objectives, risk tolerance. Okay, thank you. For anyone looking for more information on requesting a demo for the software or walkthrough of our platform, or looking to open an account, feel free to contact me. My name is Rob Lipson, rlipson, R-L-I-V-S-O-N at lightspeed.com, or email sales@lightspeed.com. We're always willing to help with you on your trading software and getting you set up with the right services to be more successful in your trading. Sean Dekmar is our presenter today. We're very happy to have him. He's the CEO of Tradecaster.com and head trader of Dekmar Trades trading community. Founded Dekmar Trades and Tradecaster in 2016 by convention, teaching novice traders how to trade the stock market in real time. He's been a full-time professional trader for 7 years, mentored over 3,000 traders in over 10 countries around the globe. Dekmar Trades chat room hosts 1,500 members, and his social media boasts upward of 36,000 followers to date. He was the guest speaker at the Trade Ideas Trading Conference 2017 as a featured guest on the American Investor Show. So we're very happy to have Sean here. I'm going to shift over the presentation and give him the controls, and away we go. So Sean, here we go. Thank you.
Hey, thank you so much. And again, thank you so much for having me. Just always, of course, being able to reach out to you guys and you guys allowing me to do this presentation is just absolutely awesome. Obviously, Lightspeed is my go-to broker. They have been absolutely incredible in every single way. Have not had any sort of issues with Lightspeed. They've been quick. They have great locates of shorts. And honestly, I probably will never go to any other broker again since finding Lightspeed. So again, just a little shout out to you guys and some compliments to you guys and just how great you guys do your work. So thank you so much. But today I do want to go over, of course, how to find and what to look for in the best breakouts. Obviously, we always want to look for the best breakouts. We want to find the stocks that are going crazy, the stocks that are going on big rips, big runs, big time spikes, big momentum, everything along those lines. So again, today, I just want to break down, make it nice, simple, and easy, how to find the best breakout stocks. What are the characteristics we look for in a breakout stock? Because when you actually think about it and you break everything down, it's all about finding, again, success, right? You find breakouts, they're all going to have a common theme. It's like the same exact thing if you study, let's say, a professional athlete. If you study Tom Brady, if you study LeBron James, if you study, again, all these professional athletes, they have very common characteristics, right? They're going to be athletic. They're going to work hard. They're going to have a different mindset than, again, people who are not successful. Anything that you find successful, it's going to come down to, okay, you can categorize them in a certain group. Same exact thing with stock trading. You can look at top gainers, and if you study what makes a top gainer a top gainer, you're going to be able to find future top gainers. It all makes sense when we break it on down. So let's find the most most popular common characteristics in a breakout, because once you guys can find these and notice them, you'll be able to find a lot more breakouts in the future. So before, again, we go on with that, I just want to talk about a little bit who I am. I'm Sean Dekmar. If you guys do not know, thank you so much for joining this webinar. I've been a full-time trader for the past 8 years, been coming up on my 8th year right now. I work, of course, at tradecaster.com. Every single day, I live stream my trading. And of course, I always want to show my transparency on every single trade I do. I live stream everything. I show my P&Ls, call out all my trades, and teach you guys with, of course, live lessons. Here's my P&L from Lightspeed on the back end. If Rob wants to verify this, he's more than welcome to. But here is, of course, from Lightspeed as of yesterday, 3-16. And what we see right here, previous day, 7,000, month to date, $65,000. This month alone, I'm up again in about 16 days, 65 grand. And this year already, I'm coming up on $200,000. So obviously, I'm not saying any of this to brag. I'm not saying any of this to show off any sort of profit. I just want to show you guys that, again, these strategies work. I am here teaching you because I want to see you guys have the same exact P&L. I am here, again, teaching you because I want to see you replicate these profits, not by following what I do. Again, that's never what I preach. I never want anyone to follow what I do. I want to teach you the right way to find breakouts so you can go ahead and be successful in the stock market, making independent, consistently successful traders. That's what I want to do, not a bunch of people that just follow what's going on. So let's break down our strategy. Let's understand how we find the best breakouts on every single play. So there's a couple key things that we want to look for. One of 4 things, and we're going to start off with one of my favorite things. Now, of course, if you guys are joining us from the Tradecaster chat room, you already know right away what's going to be coming right here. And one of the most important things, if you guys do not know, is going to be float. Float is going to be one of the most important things to be on top of and be aware of when you're looking for a breakout. So you might be asking yourself right away, what is the float? And the floating stock is the number of shares available for trading of a particular stock. Floating stock is calculated by subtracting closely held shares and restricted stocks from a firm's total outstanding shares. Now, I always like to throw in the textbook definition right here, but in reality, what is, again, the float? It's the shares available to the public. Sometimes we read, again, the textbook definition and we say to ourselves, I'm not really sure what that means. In all reality, this is the shares available to the public. What we trade as, again, retail traders, what we trade just as anyone opening up a Robinhood account or an E-Trade or whatever, all these different brokers, of course, out there. What are we going to see? We are going to see, again, traders trading the float, which is going to be, of course, the public, the shares available that are available. So when we are trading right here, what is so important about the float? Well, what we want to understand is the lower the float, the bigger the spike. The lower the float, the bigger the rip. So that's kind of the rule of thumb. When we are looking for big time breakouts, the number thing that we want to look at is going to be lower float. Let's talk about what the float is a little bit more. So the floating stock can change over time. Shares may be issued, or again, shares may be bought back from the restricted shares, which would be insiders. So I know, again, if you guys are still a little bit confused, I do just want to make it a very simple and give you guys a little bit of a better example. So let's think about it like this, because float really all comes down to price and demand. Right now, we already know that the float is the shares offered to the public, right? So that's, again, what we can trade. The lower the float is, what I always like to say, 5 million and under, the bigger the spike we can see. So right now, let's think about it like this. Let's say it's Christmas Eve. You promised little Timmy an Xbox. Little Timmy is going to be getting an Xbox. You promised him that tomorrow when he wakes on up, he's going to have that Xbox. And you waited to the last minute. So you walk into Best Buy and you see 10 other parents. 10 other parents also promised their kid a Xbox. But right when you walk in, you see 100 different Xboxes. Well, if there's 100 Xboxes and there's only 10 parents looking to get that Xbox, it's very calm. It's very easy. There's no, again, kind of, there's no kind of like aggressiveness to go get that Xbox right away, because there's a low supply and there's a very high demand. If you only have 10 people wanting, let's say, 100 Xboxes, there's no need to rush. There's no need to pay an overprice, anything along those lines. But imagine, again, if there were, let's say, 100 parents that forgot about little Timmy's Xbox. And you know what? They go to Best Buy Christmas Eve night, and there's only, again, 2 Xboxes left. Then what happens? Well, now it's, again, turns into madness. So you could see how, again, supply and demand is going to be affecting these plays. Notice how, again, we went from 10 parents with 100 Xboxes. It's very calm. It's very easy. Hey, you walk up, you grab your Xbox, you go on your way home. Now imagine if it's completely opposite. Imagine if there's 100 parents and only 2 Xboxes. Well, everyone's just trying to get it. They promised their kid an Xbox. We have chaos. If Best Buy wanted to, they could pick up an Xbox, put it up in the air, and they could say to themselves, what? They could say, all right, who wants to pay $400 for this Xbox? People put their hands up. Who wants to pay $800 for this Xbox? A couple more people put their hands up. Who wants to pay $2,000 for their Xbox? Only a few people. Who's willing to pay $5,000 for this Xbox? One parent stands up and says, hey, I'll pay for it. So what are we noticing here? We're noticing when there's a very large demand and we have a low supply, we are going to see an increase in price. And this is just an easy way to start understanding the float of a play. So let's imagine this as a stock now. Let's imagine again, if there's a very low supply of shares and a massive demand for these shares. Well, that's when we see the biggest spikes. That's when we see the biggest rips. That's when we see the biggest runs. So again, that's what the float is. And we can, again, break this down just by looking at some of these plays or looking, excuse me, at this chart right here. Notice we have price, and notice over here, we have quantity. So when we have a very low quantity of shares, the price, you can imagine, is going to be much higher. Just like if we only have, let's say, one Xbox, right? We can imagine that that price, because all these people bidding on it, is going to be extremely high. Maybe, again, like $5,000 or so. If we have, let's say, 100 Xboxes, we could say to ourselves, what? You know what? The price right here is going to be very low, maybe only $100, because we have so many. So the float, it all comes down to understanding that the lower the float, the bigger the spike. So where can we see this? Right, I'll show you guys, of course, right on my screen right here. You guys can see we have a ton of different breakouts. And if you guys have traded the markets today, we had a lot of big time spikes and a lot of big time rip and runs. Notice again, just today alone, we were able to see some big time volume. We saw OCG. OCG went from $5 and spiked all the way up towards around 11:30. Who was here in the market to be able to see this sort of spike? That was absolutely amazing. We saw TAKM today, or not TKM, what we have right here. Let me again bring it right on over. And what I want to show you guys as well is how to find the float. Because obviously, again, if we can find the float, we're able to get the biggest rips and the biggest runs. So not only do I want to show you guys the best plays, the best rips, the best runs, I also want to show you guys how to find it. So again, TKAT was the play I wanted to show you guys. And notice how TKAT went from $5 and spiked and ripped and ran all the way up towards around $25. This is a massive rip and run. And one of the main characteristics behind this is that we need to understand the float. So how do we find the float? Let's go over TKAT. We can go right here, type it on Yahoo Finance. Type in TKAT on Yahoo Finance, and what do we notice? We notice a 277% increase. Well, let's look at the statistics. We scroll down, we look at the statistics, and we could see the float 6 million. What did I tell you guys? I said the lower the float, the bigger the rip, the bigger the run, the bigger the spike. And notice again, when we take a look at the float, you could see 6 million. Rule of thumb to gauge this: anything 5 million and under, you can see a massive spike and a massive rip. Anything between 5 million to about 15 million is a solid low float. Anything from 15 million to 30 million is decent. You might get some ripping and running. And also, again, 30 million and higher is going to be a little bit larger than what we would like. You can also think about it in this manner if you guys would like to. If you want to think about it as, again, how can you gauge the float? Really just say to yourself, hey, think of the float as a ball, right? Let's imagine you guys are standing right on a football field, okay? You guys are standing on a football field. Football field's a little crooked right here. So let's, again, imagine you guys are standing on a football field, and I say, hey, throw this ball as far as you possibly can. And I give you a little tiny baseball. How far can you throw a baseball? Well, a baseball is, again, all tight. It's all compact. It's very dense. So what? You can whip that baseball. You could chuck that baseball, 75, 80, maybe 90 yards. You can throw that baseball a very far distance. Now imagine if I said, okay, you know what? You threw that baseball extremely far. Try to throw this bowling ball. Go ahead and throw this huge bowling ball. How far are you going to throw this bowling ball? You might throw it, 5 yards. And why is that? It's because it's heavier. And when you have a heavier play, you're not going to be able to see as big as moves. You're not going to see as big as rips and runs. So think about that as the float. 5 million in float and under, you could see, again, baseball type of throws, where we have TKAT going from $6 all the way up towards around $25. When you guys have a big bowling ball, it's going to be something much more slow, where you're not going to be able to have the same sort of movement, the same sort of ripping and running behind it. So again, you can look at a lot of different plays if you want to, and you could just even look at our scanners like LEX, right? LEX, this one's only 4 million float. We could get a possible rip and run. I always like to show the example, UONE. You can look at a ton of different spikes, a ton of different spikes spikes, and you guys can go through every breakout. UONE was an awesome breakout. This stock went from 171 all the way up towards around $54. A very low float play. You can, of course, look at, I mean, any stock that you guys want to look at. Another good one today, of course, OCG. OCG today went from $5 all the way up towards $11. If you want to see me exact category, guys, go right over to Yahoo Finance, type over on, click the finance button, and then just type in OCG. The moment you guys click OCG, you go to statistics, you scroll down, float 7.7 million. So we're not even in the super low float range. We're just in the solid low float range, and we're already getting these great rips and great runs. Same exact thing if you want to check out EYES. EYES went from 160 all the way up to $20. Notice again, when you take a look over here, you have EYES. Go ahead, take a look at the float statistics. We scroll on down and notice the float right away, 13 million. Not even the lowest float in the world, but it's already having these big rips and big runs. And that's why when I see a 1 million in float stock, I get very excited. That's why when I see a stock on the lower float side, I immediately say to myself, oh, wow, we could see a big time breakout. Another easy way, if you guys want to scan and look for floats, is go to finviz.com. Go to finviz.com, click the screener button right here. Once you guys click screener, just go right here, go to float and just put under 10 million. Under 10 million, price, let's go with under 30. Let's again click the all statistic. Let's look for stocks that are under $30, could be in our price range, under 10 million in float. Let's say again, they're on the oversold side. So we know they're going to be on the bottom, or they're going to be more oversold on the bottom of the chart. And let's say again, today they're moving on up. So now again, we're finding stocks right here that are oversold with low floats that potentially could be coming up in the future. So again, this is a great, easy little scan to maybe find some great plays coming on up here. So again, absolutely awesome. You guys can do this on finviz.com, but right away, boom, we know again, low floats is going to be a massive, massive characteristic of all these big time breakouts. And that's something I want every single trader to be on top of and be aware of. So again, knocking off our first one right here, of course, we have float. Float is going to be the shares available to the public. The lower the float, the higher the demand, the bigger the spike. So when we have a lot of people wanting to buy the same stock, expect this stock to increase dramatically. Now, what do we call the amount of people moving into a play at a time? The amount of people moving into a play at a time, guys, is going to be what we call the volume. So volume, the correct definition of volume is going to be the shares traded from hand to hand. When someone buys and sells a stock, that is going to be added to the volume of the play. So again, what is volume? Volume is the number of shares or contracts traded in a security or an entire market during a given period of time. For every buyer, there is a seller, and each transaction contributes to the count of total volume. That is, when buyers and sellers agree to make a transaction at a certain price, it is considered one transaction. If only 5 transactions occur in a day, the volume for the day is 5. So when we have someone buy and sell, that's going to be adding to the volume. Now, what I'm about to tell you, I will again let everyone know this is not the correct definition, but I will say how I think of volume is going to be the amount of people on that play. The more people that are on your play, the more, of course, the stock could go on a big time spike and a stock could go on a big time rip and run, right? Let's think about it. If no one else is buying your stock, the stock's not going to be running whatsoever. So we always want people to be buying, of course, the stock we like, because if people are buying the stock we like, we could see again a nice big spike, a nice big rip, a nice big run. For every single person out there that says, hey, here are my top 3 super secret stocks. Here are my top 10 super secret stocks. That's a whole bunch of baloney. You know why? Because if it's super secret, it's not a good play. I can guarantee it. What are the best plays? The best plays are the stocks that everyone's aware of. The best plays are the stocks that, again, are the most volumes on, because the more volume you have, the more activity you have. And the more activity you have, the more profit we have. Let's take a step back. Why do stocks move up? Because people buy them. Why do stocks move down? Because people sell them. If no one is buying your stock, you're going to buy in on that play, and you're just going to sit there, not making any profit whatsoever. Personally, what I try to do every single day is I try to find, of course, what is going to be the best breakout and try to, of course, get there before the majority of people in the world get there, right? We don't want to be chasing stocks. We don't want to be running late towards them. And this is, again, how we're going to do it. The first thing, of course, we're looking for is going to be a low float. Then on top of that, we want to see volume starting to increase on these plays. So how can we see volume? Well, there's a couple different ways we can see volume. We could see volume right on the charts. You can see it right at the bottom of these candlesticks. These are always going to show us what the volume is. We can also, of course, look at our level 2. Level 2 is going to show us volume. But what I really want you guys to understand about this is more volume, the better. The more people trading a stock, the better chance the stock has to go on a big time rip and run. Let's think about it like this. Let's imagine you guys are selling your rare car. You guys have a rare car that you guys just put into an auction. Imagine that you had 20 people there all bidding on your car. Well, what are the odds that maybe again that car is going to go for overvalue, or maybe again a big time spike that you weren't even expecting? Right? It's probably not. It's probably not even going to go for the price that you even expect it to. Why is it? Because there's not many people there bidding on it. Now imagine if you bring your car to an auction with 20,000 people on it, right? Like one of those huge, auctions with a ton of multimillionaires. You might have like not even a good looking car, and people are like, oh, million, no, 2 million, 3 million, 4 million, and it just kind of goes crazy because you have more people there that maybe again want that stock extremely badly or want that car extremely badly. So what I want you guys to notice is the more volume you have, the bigger the run, the bigger the rip. So how can we see this in a more easy understanding way? Because the number one question I get is that how much is good volume, right? If you ask me and says, what is the number? What is the number for good volume? Is it 1 million? Is it 2 million? Is it 3 million? And the correct answer is it's going to be what's the current volume over the average volume. So for instance, we have today the number one best player, TKAT. TKAT, as we already talked about, went on a 277% run today. Now, what do we compare? We're not again asking ourselves, is this over 1 million in volume? What we're looking at is we're looking at the average volume compared to the current volume. We see on a normal day basis, this stock gets 814,000 shares traded on it. Today, how much have we got traded? 65 million. 65 million. Imagine if this was your paycheck. Imagine you got paid $814,000 a year, and then imagine if 1 year you got paid 65 million. I mean, that is a huge difference. That is a huge increase. We are again blowing our old average volume out of the water. Notice how many traders are here. Notice how big this, how much attention the stock has, right? That's what I'm trying to say right here. And that's why you're able to see TKAT do something like this. That's why TKAT is going on this explosive move. You can't have a breakout with having massive volume behind a play. It just doesn't make any sense. So not only do we have right now, let's think about it, we have an extremely high demand, 65 million shares over again, 814,000. And not only that, we already talked about what now? We have an extremely low float. So we have an extremely low float stock where again, 6 million in float, and we have 65 million people getting in and out of this stock, right? So now it's starting to make sense of, okay, I understand why the stock is getting this breakout. I understand why the stock is getting this move. I understand why the stock is getting this rip and run the way it is. So let's get back in on this and let's start only adding to this now, because we already talked about, again, our key points. We talked about the low float. We talked about what the float is. We talked about the volume. And what we're really understanding, of course, right now is the perfect formula for a breakout is going to be low float plus high volume equal massive spikes. So perfect formula for, again, a big time breakout. Now, what I want to be going into next, guys, is going to be talking about news. All right, because we already talked about volume, we talked about float, but what gets volume into a play, right? To get volume into a play, we need to see some sort of news in this play or some sort of reason on why to buy it, right? That's why stocks spike on off. So every single day, every single morning, I'm always going through my news streamer and looking to see what stocks come out with the best news. If you want to find the best breakouts every single day, the number one thing that you guys need to do is look for hot news. And when you guys find hot news, you will see the biggest spikes, the biggest rips, and the biggest breakouts. So for example, right here, we can have at this moment, this very big spike, BPTH. Right? BPTH goes on this massive rip, massive run. And again, this stock had an excellent press release. And we're going to dive in on this press release. But again, just sticking with the volume really quickly. And again, the low float, you could see again, BPTH, when the stock did have this massive spike, you could see again, extremely low float, 2 million in float. As we already talked about before, how much volume is the perfect amount? It all depends on the current volume over, again, the average volume. So let's keep it rocking and rolling, and let's go over how to find the best news, because this is truly how, again, you're able to beat the mob. I call the mob the majority of buyers, the people that are out there in the world, all just kind of looking around for the big breakout, the people you see probably on Twitter and, Stock Twits and all these different message boards. How can we get into a play before them? How can we get into a play before, again, they kind of find the play? right? And that's what we want to look for. And if you really want to find the best breakouts, you have to be looking for the news. So is news really that important? Yes, news is everything in the penny stock market, because this is what builds up the hype. This is what builds up the momentum. And this is what's going to bring in the credibility. There's a lot of sketchy stuff in the penny stock world. Trust me, guys, a lot of sketchy things. And you know what? We don't want to ever get involved with pump and dumps. We don't ever want to get involved with random movers and just buying onto a stock hoping we make money. I always say, team, I understand that there's a lot of people out there that say, oh, stock trading, day trading, that's just a gamble. That's just a gamble. And you know what I say to that? Well, if this is such a gamble, if this is, again, a casino, then be the house, because we know, again, the house always wins. And I always wait that every single time I trade, the odds are in my favor, because, again, I know I'm going to win that. If you sit down and you're the tourist, you're coming again from wherever you come from, and you go to Atlantic City, and you come from wherever you come from, and you go to Las Vegas. If you're the person that's receiving the cards, if you are the person that's rolling the dice, you guys are, again, going to end up losing. You are not here to be trading 50-50 plays. That's not how you're going to be. You want to be trading 80-20 plays, 80% chance of winning, 20% chance of losing, 90-10s, 90% chance of winning, 10% losing. I haven't been doing this for the past 10 years out of luck, right? I haven't been doing this, and I don't have this P&L for, again, yesterday making $7,000, month to date $65,000, year to date $193,000 just from getting lucky. No, if you are going to call this a gamble whatsoever, if this is a casino, be the house then, because the house always wins. And the longer you trade, the more you're going to win. So again, that's what it really comes down to, understanding that, hey, you know what? Wait for the odds to be in your favor. So how do we, again, make sure the odds are in our favor? We study, we work hard, we wait for the right opportunities, and we find news quickly. So news all comes down to first come, first serve. And I'm going to show you guys exactly how we like to find the news every single day. So how do we read news? The easiest thing out there, guys, is we look for keywords. Look for keywords, look for italic bold, look for strong CEO statements. Do not, and I repeat, do not waste your time reading the entire press release. You guys don't need to read the entire press release. All you guys need to do is read the title. And the moment you read the title, that's all we care about. It's enough to be able to understand what that press release is talking about. I know the old saying, time is money. And especially in stock trading, it's 100% true. You have to think about it like this. It is you kind of against the world out in that stock market. And when you see news come on out, you better expect there are thousands of other people that are, again, reading the same press release you are. And the moment that you, again, keep reading more than what you need to, other people are buying in. Now, again, the stock is moving on up, and now you're missing out on the best entry price. So little side note, I know, guys, if you guys are kind of talking in chat saying, boy, this guy talks fast. Boy, this guy gets a little crazy. Hey, I understand. It's just because I'm trying to teach you guys as much as I can in this little webinar that I have. I'm just trying to compact everything I can. So again, if it sounds like I'm a little hyper, if it sounds like I don't take a breath, there's two reasons behind that. One, I'm just trying to get as much info in here that I can on my little time slot. And on top of that, I just absolutely love this stuff, and I love helping you guys out. So when we look for this news, this is what, take a picture, take a screenshot. I don't mind if you guys take this, but this is what you guys want to look for every single day. Study these keywords, study every single one of them. And all you guys have to do every single day is look to see where these, look to see if one of these words is inside a title of a press release. Now, press releases come out at 7 in the morning, 7:30, 8:30, and 9 o'clock. Those are the big press release waves. Now, I'm on the East Coast. If you guys are on the West Coast, adjust that. It would be 4 a.m., 4:30, 5 o'clock, 5:30, right? Everything along those lines. So make sure you guys understand that all you want to do is be awake during those times. Yes, I'm telling you to wake up early, because again, early bird gets the worm. Notice that when these press releases come out, all you're looking for are these hot keywords. And the moment you see one of these hot keywords, you know that's now a credible press release. We don't want anything that's non-credible. You see something running randomly, you see something taking off randomly, it's not worth your time. Wait for a credible press release. So let's go back to this example. Let's say BPTH. And BPTH, this stock was able to go on a great spike where we saw, again, this play go from what, almost $1 all the way up towards around $65. Now, what's going on with this play? Well, let's break it on down. And as you guys can see, what we have here is BPTH announces phase 2 trials in acute leukemia, right? That's what we have right here. And already, that's kind of all I need to know, because I know sometimes when we read a press release, we confuse ourselves more than what we need to. If I read it like this, if I read Biopath announces clinical update to interim analysis on phase 2 prexagerbsin in trial in acute myeloid leukemia. You're saying, Dek, I have no idea what that means. And the good thing is, you know what? A lot of people don't know what it means. So we break it down to keywords. And what's our keywords? We talk about phase 2, and on top of that, we have leukemia. We can also see the italic bold. And whenever we see italic bold, that's just going to summarize this whole entire thing. So we do not read this. You know why we don't read this? Because again, it's taking too long. We don't need to know anything about this. And what we have here is phase 2 leukemia. And notice what we have here. Interim data shows us that phase 2 has demonstrating meaningful clinical improvement with excellence. That's all I need to know. Boom, I'm buying that play. And why do I know that? Well, let's go back here. We know that we have phase 2, which again said they were excellent, positive, demonstrates meaningful, significant, talking about leukemia, cancer, right? Look at that. We have cancer, which has to do with leukemia, demonstrates significant excellence on its phase 2. Look how many keywords we have. I don't need to read this whole entire thing. I don't care about this at all. And, you know, people sometimes say, well, Dek, what do you think about the actual company? Again, I don't mean to be rude. I don't care about the company at all. I'm a day trader. I'm buying in with momentum, and all I'm trying to do is beat the momentum to every single play, right? That's it. We can, again, look at, this is what we do every single day. Every single day. We could take a look over on, let's just take a look over on EYES, right? EYES. Can anyone tell me why EYES, 6 days ago went from $1 all the way up towards $20? Well, if you guys go ahead, type in EYES right here. And what did we see on this play? You scroll down. This was about 10 days ago. And what did we see? This one came out right here. And actually, I believe it was right here 12 days ago. And it says, EYES soars as FDA approves Argus 2S Vision 8. Does anyone here know what Argus 2S Vision 8 is? No. And then again, what do a lot of new traders do? They read into this a lot more. And again, the moment they're reading all of this, all they're doing is wasting their time. Other people are, again, buying in on the play. They're wasting their time. All we need to see is what? Okay, EYES has FDA approval. That's all we need to know. And the moment we see that this stock has FDA approval, what do we have? 2-star word, FDA approval, bada boom, we're good to go. I believe it was, let me see here, what was it yesterday, guys? I believe it was a nice little spiker yesterday, SGLBB, something right along those lines. Let me again take a quick little look. And again, that was a nice little rip and run that we saw yesterday. And that was able to, again, get a little bit of hype and get a little bit of momentum. And sometimes, again, these plays, team, it's all about just watching these stocks get some hype towards it. SGLB, that's what it was. So SGLB, 3 days ago, SGLB went from $5, spiked all the way up towards $10. And again, notice how SGLB gets these big time rips and runs in pre-market. What time did SGLB start spiking? SGLB started spiking right at 8:30 in the morning. The reason it started spiking at 8:30 in the morning is because it came out with a press release at 8:30 in the morning. Now we know press releases are going to come out very early, 8 o'clock, 8:30, 9 o'clock, starting at 7 a.m. You have to be awake from it. And if you want to take a look right here, we have SGLB. Go ahead. Let's see what the press release was. Why did this stock spike $5 worth? Why did, again, this one go on a 100% climb? And what we have here, if we want to bring this down 2 days ago, what we have, we go ahead and take a look at it. It says SGLB. And what we can read it, if we can read it the correct way, that says Sigma Labs signs agreement with Lockheed Martin for its PrintRite 3DR in process quality assurance solution. That can confuse you a little bit. Or you can just read it as SGLB has an agreement with Lockheed Martin. And right when we see agreement, we know, again, we take a look, 3-star word. We take a look, 3-star word, break it on down, we see the word agreement. The moment we see agreement, do we need to read any of this right here? Not at all. We don't read any of this. You know what we do? We immediately go over to SGLB and we jump in at $3. We jump in at $4. Shoot, if we're even a little bit late, we can jump in at $5. It doesn't matter. This stock's running up to $10. So again, how do we trade with the odds in our favor every single time? We have to know what the good press releases are. We have to know what the good press releases are. We need to know what time they're coming out, how to find them, and beating the mob inside to their play. Once we're in on the play, guess what? There's going to be tons, team. There are going to be thousands of traders out there that are going to sleep until 9:30. Hey, let them, right? There's going to be people out there that are going to sleep until 10 o'clock. There's going to be people out there that are going to wait for SGLB to spike up and become a top gainer. How many of you guys are new traders? How many times have you ever found that a stock was going on a big time spike, then you bought in and then it started dropping itself back on down? You can't wait. You got to just trust the strategy. The strategy is look for hot press releases during, of course, 7, 7:30, 8 o'clock, 8:30. Know your hot keywords, look for low floats, and understand that volume is going to come into those plays. Right? That's again the key strategy right here. And those are going to be some of the top main points of, again, characteristics of breakout plays. So again, we have gone over, of course, the float. We've gone over the volume. We have gone over so far understanding these hot keywords and what to be looking for in these hot keywords. And to wrap everything up, before I again get absolutely destroyed by dehydration, I feel like where we're at this moment is going to be, again, market conditions. Now, when we think about market conditions, I always describe it just like the weather, right? The weather. Some days are hot, some days are rainy, some days are cold, some days, again, we got to change, we got to adjust. And that's the point of this, guys. If we see that every single day from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right, we see ginormous breakout, ginormous breakout, ginormous breakout, ginormous breakout, we can definitely see another big breakout on Friday, right? It would make sense. Imagine if I wear a white shirt. Okay, I'm wearing a white shirt. Imagine I wore a white shirt on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and someone said, hey, I'll give you 20 bucks if you can guess what shirt Dek wears tomorrow. And you say 20 bucks. I mean, you got a great chance of being correct. But the one email that I get all the time, from new traders, and they say to me, Dek, I started trading last month, and I, again, turned my $2,000 account to $4,000, $6,000, $8,000. But now, again, I didn't change anything. I didn't do anything different, but now I lost all my money. Why is that? Well, let's, again, compare it to market conditions. Let's say, again, you wear a t-shirt and shorts in August, right? And you feel great in August. And you do it in September, and you feel great in September. But let's say time goes by. Let's say if you wear the same exact outfit in November, the same exact outfit in December, the same exact outfit in January, something that was, again, great, maybe t-shirt and shorts in August, that's not, again, going to be great in January, is it? You're going to be freezing, right? And why are you freezing? Because you need to adjust to the market conditions. You need to adjust to the weather. The person that does the same strategy every single day, they are the ones that are, again, kind of getting left out there, because sure, you can chase plays in a very hot market. You can, again, buy whenever you want in a hot market, and you're probably going to come out a winner. But the moment, again, the hot market turns into a slow market, that's where people do the same thing as a hot market, and they start losing everything. And you say to yourself, I'm not doing anything different. Why am I losing? And it's, again, a very valid question, right? Let's say, again, I like to play golf all the time. If all of a sudden I start shanking them in the woods and I didn't do anything different, I'm very confused, right? Because usually, again, if you have a nice smooth swing and you do it over and over and over again, keep everything the same, you're going to have consistent results. But again, if you're doing everything the same, you're not going to have consistent results in the stock market. And that's where you say to yourself, whoa, I'm confused on what's going on here. It's because the stock market's like the weather, and we need to adjust to the factors that, of course, the environment of the stock market is bringing us. So we need to say to ourselves, is it hot or is it cold? What's the mindset of traders? We already discussed the majority of people are going to be buying plays, right? And when majority of people buy plays, we see big breakouts. When the majority of people sell stocks, we see stocks dump on off. So it all comes down to us saying, what's the majority of people thinking at this time, right? Are the people excited? Are they confident? Or are they fearful and hesitant? And that's what we see. And if we see, let's say we wake up in the morning and we don't see any gap ups, we don't see any sort of hot news, we don't see any excitement, we can look at, again, on our chat, again, on tradecaster.com, we have over 1,500 members. If we have, again, only 1 or 2 messages going like per minute, we can see, again, a lot of people just don't even know what to say. They don't even know where to go. That's immediately telling me what? That's immediately telling me, hey, I should be shorting today, or again, be on very small shares. I shouldn't be loading up. But again, let's say, again, I log on to Tradecaster and I see tons of gap ups. I see, again, messages going a mile a minute. I see, again, everyone saying, oh, look at this ginormous breakout. Look at this. Look at this. I know right away, guess what's going on? We have hype. We have excitement. We're going to see probably a lot more big breakouts, because, again, it depends on what the majority of people are thinking out there in the world. So when we, again, break this all down, we know our low float is going to, again, be able to lead towards very hard supply and demand. With more volume on a low float, we get a massive spike. But what brings in the volume is going to be a credible news. And what's going to bring in, of course, that credible news with the volume and the low float is going to be hot market conditions. So when we break it all down, guys, and you ask yourself, why did we see a very nice spike on SGLB or EYES, or again, like when we talk about these other plays today, like TKAT or anything along these lines, we can all kind of figure out right now, hey, it's falling into the characteristics of a big time breakout. And as long as we have the characteristics and understand the characteristics of a big time breakout, we can be, of course, very successful in the stock market. So wanted to go over that. And again, thank you so much for everyone who has joined us right here just for this webinar right here. So Rob, do you got anything to say or anything that you want to add to this? I'm sure he'll just pop in for a second. But again, any sort of questions that you guys have, I'll be more than happy to help. I think I can get the questions on my webinar.
Yeah, someone just asked a question about where some of the sites are you read for some of those press releases and some of the news that you look at.
Yeah, personally, the site that I use is going to be Scans. So that is what I use, and I can bring it up here for a moment. Again, I'm just going to move this off my screen for a second. I know I always want to be transparent, but showing the password is a little much. So again, let me just bring that on up for you, and then we'll be all set right here. But again, we do offer scans and scans discounts over on Tradecaster. So again, make sure you guys check that out. But again, right when this loads on up, here it is. So this is what I use. That personally, and I know it's really annoying, guys, that there is no free website out there that's just going to give you all the news. So again, I do post the news streamer. I do stream it so everyone can see it. And what I have right here, let's just scroll all the way down. We can scroll all the way on down in the morning, and notice when we get to 7 o'clock, watch what happens. 7 o'clock right here. And just want to confirm you guys can still see my screen. I believe you can. So again, we have 7 o'clock. We have news. Look how much news starts coming off at 7 o'clock. And then, of course, I'm looking at the low float, and then I'm looking at all the keywords right here. Same exact thing when I get up to 8 o'clock. And notice 7 o'clock, we have, again, a lot of news, 7:30, little news. And then look what happens. 8 o'clock. I look at the low float. I look to see if it's moving with, of course, volume. And I look for keywords right here. So how am I consistently making money in the stock market? I'm, again, looking for hot keywords with low floats that I know are going to bring in the volume. But again, these are all things, again, I live stream 100% free over on Tradecaster. And again, we do, again, help you guys out getting discounts if you guys want your own scans as well.
Great. I guess also some people are so interested in your Lightspeed trader layout, how that looks. Are you entering orders with hotkeys, custom orders? What do you like to do with the software?
Let me again bring that right on up as well. So again, personally, my Lightspeed trader layout is just default. The reason, of course, why I use Lightspeed is because they are incredible with just how quick they are, right? You guys are extremely quick with Lightspeed. So the thing is, I'm just going to bring this over. I have my orders right here. I have my positions right here. I have my order entries right underneath. And then I have the charting. And then on top of that, I have my level 2 and my short request right here. This is what my screen looks like on my other monitor. So this is what I have. Personally, I'll teach you how I, of course, get in and out of plays and the correct ways to get in and out of stocks over on Tradecaster. But how I usually get in on a stock is I do a lot of limit orders and I do a lot of market orders. But obviously in pre-market, you have to be doing limit orders. So again, I am personally not doing any sort of hotkeys. I just don't. I am not against them. I am not opposed to them in any sort of way. But you could see a lot of the trades I'm in on, I'm all about momentum, in and out, in and out, in and out. So a lot of times I just have my order entry box. If I'm trying to get in on a dip buy, I'll put the limit order, set whatever price I want. Once that order is pending in the order entry area, I'll just go ahead, switch over to a market order and have my finger on the sell button. So for instance, if I'm trying to get in, let's say on a dip buy, right? Let's say I'm trying to get in on a dip buy. We'll delete this little character right here. And I see that a stock is going on a nice spike. Stock is going on a nice spike on up. And I say, okay, hey, I want to look for a dip buy right here at around $2. What I do for a lot of my trades is I say to myself, okay, I'm going to put in a limit order at, let's say, $2, or what I call it, I do an imaginary box. I kind of surround the $2 mark. And then once I have my order pending, I go immediately and just switch it over to a market order, put my mouse over the sell button. Why do I do that? Well, of course, in these hot penny stocks, sometimes again, things can go very, very great very quickly and very wrong very quickly, right? So let's say I make a mistake and all of a sudden I get filled and the stock starts dropping all the way on off. Well, all I got to do to sell then is click sell, sell, and I'm 100% out, right? Same exact thing if maybe again I nail the play perfectly and all of a sudden the stock's starting to come on and down, it bounces right off here and it starts shooting on up. And you know what? All I want to do is get out right away, sell, or press sell right away, and I'm immediately out. So again, what I personally do on a lot of my plays is going to be set a limit order. So I pick the price I want, and then again, I switch over to a market order to get out of my plays. Sometimes if a stock is super fast, I'll just do market orders. But that's just me. I know again what a lot of traders are going to be doing hotkeys and everything along those lines. Personally, I have not used those. I'm not saying again anything great or bad about them. It's all just personal preference. And again, me, I've just been using limit orders and market orders for so long. That's kind of just what I've always just kind of stuck with.
Great, thanks. And then someone else asking, I guess, if you do scaling in and out, or you scaling in and scaling out, are you doing more?
On all that, guys.
In and out.
Yeah, on all that, I'm really just scaling, which that's why I have so many different orders on these plays, because I'm always kind of searching for the best cost basis. So like when I'm getting in on these plays, like I shorted OCG. And you could see again, I got in a little bit of a tough entry before. I got in at 1023, and then again I added shares from 1023, 1022, 1018, 1015. So I had the best cost basis I can have. And then I got out of the play at 987, 988, 994, 996. So yes, I do scale a lot because I always try to get the best possible cost basis that I can get. So it all just comes down to, again, trying to have this nice, perfect strategy of trying to get the best cost basis you can get. And again, scaling is my go-to. On top of that, as I said, guys, you can head over to the entries and exits on tradecaster.com and watch this lesson, which is scaling, buying and selling, how I buy into plays and how I get out of plays. Is there any other questions, Rob? Or
great.
Just because yeah.
I think that covers most of them. Any other indicators on your charts or studies people are looking for as well, or you're going more on just volume and movement?
Yeah, I mean, my go-to indicators on mine, if you want to check out these kind of the normal scans that I'm using, my normal indicators right here are just always going to be the 13 EMA, the 50-day moving average, the 200-day moving average, and then on top of that, I am going to be using the VWAP. So on the daily chart, I use the green line, which is the 13 EMA, blue line, 50-day moving average, 200-day moving average, and then on the minute chart, I use, of course, the VWAP. So I use the VWAP and of course use that right here. So I don't like to fill up my charts with a whole bunch of different stuff. I like to, again, always make sure that I am being able to see my charts. I like to, in the minute charts, only again VWAP, and on the daily chart, moving averages. So moving averages on the daily chart, the only indicator I use on the minute chart, 1, 2, 3, and 5 is the VWAP.
Great. I think that pretty much answered all the questions that came in. Certainly, guys, check out Sean on his website and his other social media aspects. Reach out to him if you are looking to be interested in courses and the chat room that he offers. Certainly always great to have more resources. So Sean, we thank you very much for taking the time to present, and certainly we'd love to have you back in the future. So we'll definitely be in touch. And everyone here, this will be on our website and YouTube channel within a couple of days. So if you want to reference what he said, a lot of energy. I know he went pretty quick, but I'm sure that's he's very excited about the world of trading, and you can tell. So we really thank you for taking the time and appreciate it, and we hope to have you back soon. So thank you guys very much, and everyone have a great night. Thank you.
Hey, thank you so much, guys.